Hello everybody, my name is Jackie Geringer McDermott and we're recording live from the English Valley History Center in North English, Iowa. I have an assistant here today. Rick Kavanaugh is going to help me with our latest acquisition. This is the class of 1966. And there we go. This big composite was brought back to the History Center by Jan Miller Sauter. Her husband Ed was in that class, and we're really glad to have it. They're going to have a special display to put those all in, and that's going to be from the sale of these books that they're going to pay for that special display. And if you haven't gotten your Every Wanted EV book, there's still people on the cover that haven't bought one. There's 3 or 4 left. They're $45. See Scott Romine about that. Gonna read in the diaries. It's August 9th, 2025. This diary was written by my great-great aunt, Mary Elizabeth Claypool Wade, who was known as Libby Wade. She is 75 years old in June of 1950. And here's a picture of Aunt Lib. I will read and talk about a few days in the diary and then switch to happenings around the History Center and feature stories. And you're going to have to excuse me because I've got a heck of a cold. June 24th, 1950, continued. Tracy stopped for a few minutes on her way to town. Heard that Harry Miller's little boy was seriously hurt yesterday and run over by a hay slide. Both legs broken and head hurt. Tracy Wallace is my paternal great-grandmother and a close friend of Lib's. She told Lib about Johnny Miller. And here's the newspaper article. Johnny Miller hurt in fall. Johnny Miller, 7-year-old son of Mr. and Mrs. Harry Miller, 3 miles north of town, was severely injured Friday evening about 4 o'clock. He was riding on a hay slide pulled by a tractor driven by his father. 35 bales were on the slide, which Johnny was riding. The boy fell from the load and under the slide. His father heard him scream and immediately stopped the tractor. He then saw his son under the slide. Before Johnny could be extricated from the slide, it was necessary to unload the bales. He was rushed to the Marengo Hospital, where it was found he had both legs broken and internal injuries. He was given a blood transfusion Friday evening. His condition was listed as critical for several days. However, Johnny rallied remarkably, and on Wednesday, the doctors were able to set his limbs. And John Miller is right here in this picture. And he was at the History Center last Saturday for the alumni reunion. He graduated from English Valley in the class of 1961 and is a retired judge from the Iowa Court of Appeals. Flossie was here a minute. Her mother stayed with her last night. They are closing the inside stairway over there today. Flossie Claypool West is the granddaughter of Lib's cousin, Wallace Claypool, and lives in a rented room in a house across the street from Lib. Russell went over and got the laundry, $2.75 this time. When he came back, he went with Warren and Bus to Williamsburg. He ate a little dinner and is feeling some better. Russell, or Tyler Wade, is Lib's youngest son. He is 42, and she lives in his house with him. Lila Cobb is right here in this picture. And she's the mother of Lib's grandson-in-law, Glenn Cobb. And Lila has been helping the Wades by doing their laundry. Warren, or Mike Wade, is Lib's second son. And he went with his friend Cleo, or Bus Hall, who is right here in this picture. He's their friend and the father of Vance and Virginia Hall, who were twins, and John Hall and Mike Hall, who all attended EV schools. When Glenn and Hazel came to town this evening, they brought cream ready to freeze in their freezer. Then they went to the show. Russell got ice and finished making it. Hazel Wade Cobb is Lib's youngest married granddaughter, or young, she's not the youngest, and she and her husband, Glenn Cobb, live on a farm south of town. Her Uncle Russell finished churning the homemade ice cream while they went to the movie theater in town. Hazel Strasser and her little grandson, Elsie's baby, I believe, came. The parents were working someplace and left the two babies there with Hazel and Richard. The dad is Grant Nelson. Elsie had polio and is crippled in the legs. Elsie and Grant Nelson lived in Millersburg. Elsie contracted polio in high school, and according to her obituary, was confined to a bed for almost a year. She later had bone surgery, receiving a bone marrow transplant at the University of Iowa hospitals, and being the first successful recipient of this procedure. A woman of great determination, she was able to get around by wearing a full brace on one leg and a half brace on the other. Elsie ran an ice cream place in Millersburg, and her children were Kay and Ronnie Nelson, who went to Deep River Millersburg schools. Mrs. Shute, Leona, and baby Barbara Jane and oldest son Johnny were here. Jessie Shute and her daughter Leona Shute Glantz, who was a classmate of granddaughter Evelyn in the North English class of 1925. And her daughter Barbara Glantz is right here. She was in the class of 68. And John Glantz is right here from the class of 1964. They visited at Libby's. Dean Glantz did not come with them. You might have noticed that Libby's house is hopping with visitors on a Saturday night. She lived just a half block east of Main Street, and on Saturday evenings, going to town was the thing to do. The little girls who come nearly every Saturday night were here. Judy and Sandra and Kay and Julie Popham was along, and also Rosemary O'Brien. Lib's youngest granddaughter, Judy Wade, the daughter of middle son Warner Mike Wade and his wife Lena, arrived to visit her grandma, along with her friends / classmates / cousins, including Sandra Hahn, who is now Sandra Shetler, and she's right here in this annual. Finger on it, right there. No, this isn't working as nice as I thought. Right there. Julie Popham is right here. And Rosemary O'Brien, who was Ed and Mabel O'Brien's daughter, who passed away at age 19. And something I don't know for sure, but I think that one of my listeners can tell me, who was the other little girl named Kay that Lib mentioned as being with Judy and her friends. Jenny came up today, but Wayne called her home to take care of some berries that were brought in for Harold's. Jenny Wade Butterbaugh is right here. Or excuse me, Butterbaugh was her maiden name, Wade's her married name. And that's Perky, her husband. And their youngest son, Harold, is right here. Flossie was in a few minutes too this AM. Mary R. stopped for a while on the porch, and also Mrs. Agnew was out there a few minutes. She said Mrs. Cunningham is getting along good, can walk a little. Mary Wade Regseger is right here in this picture. And she was a friend who lived down the street. And Minnie Agnew lived across the street to the east. Mrs. Cunningham would be a friend of hers who attends the nearby Catholic church with her. Sunday, June 25th, 1950. Hot this morning, a good breeze. Temperature 82 degrees at 10 a.m. Frida came up, said someone tried to ring us. Said she had a chance to come over if we were home. It might be Beth, I don't know. Walders are going to Evelyn's today. Lib gets her weather reports from the radio. Frida Wade is her daughter, or granddaughter-in-law, married to grandson Walter, and how she knows someone was looking for Lib is because they're all on the same party line, telephone line. So this person says she has a chance to come over, and Frida heard it. Lib thinks it could be her niece Beth Holmes from Kyoto who is calling. Frida goes on to tell her that she and her husband Walter Bud Wade, and their children Claudia and Jimmy are going over to his sister Evelyn Kurtz's house today to visit. Hattie was the one who tried to ring here. She rode over with Rosa S. and Emma Richardson when they went to church. Was here about 2 hours. She is not feeling very well yet, but is fair. Had the radium treatment for 72 hours. Doctors called her ailment cancer, but they hope it is checked now. Hattie Newberry-Killian is Lib's friend with cancer. Rosa S., who brought her over to Lib's, was Rosa Secor. Russell didn't sleep at all, so didn't get up until late. I didn't do much either. My eye is better, but I don't read much. I think it will be okay in a day or two. Heard today that they hadn't decided yet about the church at Yankee Point. The Amish people want to buy it, and Jack Ross would like to have it for a funeral home. Mrs. Bolt's son, Clarence, and wife visited her today. Minnie Zilmer had a lot of stuff hauled away from the cellar over there. She is going to put in a new oil-burning furnace. Elizabeth, or Lizzie Geiger Bolts, is 87 years old and a neighbor. Minnie Zilmer lives in the third house east of Main Street on the north side of Oak Street, so Lib can see what is going on over there. Maud brought Amy's children over for a while this evening. Molly is over with Flossie. Millard is in Iowa City. Russell went to Marengo tonight with Mildred and Mr. and Mrs. Milo Stover. Maud Foster Claypool is married to Lib's nephew, Ray Claypool, and they had 3 grandchildren at that time. Ray Hervey, who is named after his grandpa. Lyle Hervey. And Virginia Hervey. They all graduated from English Valley schools when they were older. Molly Cheney Claypool is married to Millard Claypool, who is in the hospital. Millard is the son of Lib's cousin, Wallace Claypool. Molly stayed over with Flossie at her rented room across the street. Russell is in a chorus with his longtime girlfriend, Mildred Reese, and their friends, the Stovers. June 26, 1950. Amy's birthday, 1923, and also her wedding anniversary. She was married on her 18th birthday. Amy Claypool Hervey is Lib's great niece, the daughter of nephew Ray Claypool and his wife Maud. She was married on her 18th birthday to Elroy Hervey. It is nice this morning. Not so hot as yesterday and a good breeze. Molly stopped in a while. They are going down to see Millard at the hospital today. Millard is so bad off, and the cost is high. $9.50 per day for his bed. The farm is rented, but they will have to get help on Ina's place, the hay and grain, when it's harvested. Evidently, Millard Claypool, who's right here, must have been farming his parents' place also, as Ina was his mother's name. Millard's wife is Molly Cheney Claypool. Russell is not able to work yet today. I'm not doing much either. Mrs. Bolts came up a while. She don't look very well either. Russell ate a little dinner, but is not very good. Russell has been battling stomach problems, and Mrs. Bolts is just getting over a very long siege of sickness. Maud came up to tell me about Marion. Roy's got home last night. They gave Marion some kind of test to determine if an operation would do any good, but found it would not. She was too sick to come home after the treatment. We'll send word when to come for her. Maud's brother-in-law, Roy Claypool, and wife, Gail Butler Claypool, have been at the hospital in Rochester, Minnesota, with their oldest daughter, Marion. Marion is single and lives with them. They had to leave her up in Rochester at the hospital and come back home. Wayne come up to see Russell, but he had gone out, I think down to Walder's or Wayne's. Russell can walk to Walder's as he lives just around the corner on Southeast Street, and Wayne's own house is just a block away on East Clark Street. Flossie came in to tell me that she saw Mrs. Carson at the hospital. She's in bad shape but seems quite cheerful. Millard is still down there. They don't know for how long. The doctors are away on vacation, and work has slowed up some. Molly went out home. Ed is to stay with her at night. Mrs. Belle Carson, who owns Carson's clothing store uptown, has been diagnosed with cancer. She lives in the second house on the north side of the street across from Lib. Molly Claypool lives out on the farm with her husband, who is in the hospital, so someone will stay with her at the house. June 27th, 1950. Very cool. Russell lit the oil burner for a while last evening. I have the doors closed this morning. The sun is shining, but a cold wind. Bruce came down about 10 this morning to see Russell. He thinks he should go and have a thorough exam. I wish he would do something. He ate a little toast and milk for dinner. He started away after dinner. He was going to Cedar Rapids, maybe be advised by Dr. Harrington. He didn't know what to do. He may have to be gone overnight. Bruce Warner is Russell's friend. Here's a picture of him and his wife, Georgia. Bruce is Russell's boss at the home lumber company. Lila was in a minute. She brought some peas that Hazel sent. Hazel took some to the locker. Jenny came up. Wayne came a while later. Mrs. Bauer brought a pan of cherries. Reverend Seek was also here a while. Told of the meeting out at Yankee Point about selling the church. They are to meet at Charlie Carter's to decide for sure. Anna Bauer lived one house south of Lib on Southeast Street. Reverend Seek was a Methodist minister. And here's a picture of him and his wife about 10 years later when they adopted a little girl from Korea. Russell came home from Cedar Rapids. He didn't get to see Dr. Harrington, but called young Dr. Harrington and talked to him. He told him who to go to, who he recommended. I don't know who. He is to go in the morning again for an x-ray of his stomach. Millie was at the door. She said John Vanaken got sick at Williamsburg and they brought him home. He had Dr. Miller. Russell went down to see him. He went over to see if Addie wanted to come over here, but she had company. Judy was here a while. Jenny's sister Marie is in the hospital at Washington and had an operation yesterday for gallbladders, her trouble. And here is Millie Knipfer, the neighbor. John and Alice Vanaken were neighbors also. And Tara, the city clerk, sent these pictures to Dave this week. This is Waldo, Clyde, and Roger Henson. Waldo is Tara's grandfather. Tara's the city clerk. And the father of Dick Henson, who we called Waldo for a nickname because that was his middle name. And here's a picture she also sent. This is inside this is inside of Kirkpatrick Produce, and it's Minnie Henson, her grandmother, who was later married to Bus Hall, and Phyllis Shaw, Everett or Slim Bell, and Larry Kirkpatrick. Now we're done with the diaries, and we're going to go on to our feature story about Noah Miller. You might remember from our stories about the Miller family that Noah Miller was the father of 12 children and was a member of the Brethren Church. Noah and his family came from Virginia to settle south of North English in 1856. One of the sons, Noah Samuel, was the founder of Miller Hardware in North English. Another one of those sons was Benjamin Franklin Miller, who was married to Mary Etta Fitzwater Miller. Their son, Noah Virgil Miller, was born in 1891 and lived until 1979. Carl Hogendorn, the longtime editor of the North English Record, put it this way in 1979. Once upon a time, there were 3 Noah Millers in the North English community, and now there are none. The oldest Noah Miller came from Virginia and built the brick house south of town where Larry Kirkpatricks now live. Note, that house is currently owned by a Morrison family. One of his sons was named Noah, but we all knew him better as Sam, and he was a North English businessman for many years. The third and youngest Noah Miller was buried here last week. That would have been 1979. He was a grandson of the original Noah Miller. All 3 Noahs contributed a great deal to the North English community. After a few months before Noah had passed away, Carl Hogendorn had this to say about him in his column. With a winter such as it is, we didn't get to see and visit some of our old friends for a couple of months. I'm thinking especially of Noah Miller. I visited with Noah last Friday morning at the restaurant, the first time I had seen Noah since November. And that is really something when you remember that Noah never missed a morning down on Main Street at 6 a.m. for years and years. Noah and another old friend of mine, Esther Kirkpatrick, are both in their mid-80s and able to get around pretty good. The interesting thing about the lives of Esther Miller Kirkpatrick and Noah Miller is that they have spent all of the 80-plus years right here around good old North English. Esther says she lived out by Pleasant Grove Church at one time. That is 5 miles from town. Noah was born out in the White Pigeon community and came to town in 1920. The only time that Noah lived away from North English was when he was one of Uncle Sam's doughboys in World War I. Noah Virgil Miller was a veteran of World War I, serving in France with the American Expeditionary Forces. When he returned home, he worked for the local Milwaukee Railroad, keeping the tracks and railroad bed in good condition. We have his World War I uniform on display at the History Center. It's right here behind me. That's why we're over in this corner today. One of the unique features of the uniform is the gas mask. It's right here. That's to be used in case the opposing forces, who were the Germans, unleashed mustard gas on the troops. Noah was a member of the IOF Lodge and the Ross T. Hadley American Legion Post and the Rotary Club. And in this photo, which is the only one I could find of him, this is the founders of the Rotary Club. Pause for a photo before enjoying a meal. From left to right, we see Homer Kirkpatrick, Truman Foss, Noah Miller, Dr. Lawrence Miller, or Old Doc, Liesl Miller, Liesl Greenlee, Hugh Downing, and Leonard or Curly Kirkpatrick. The English Valley Sister Center has been operating on Main Street in North English since 2006. The center operates a museum, monthly programming, a community coffee shop, and provides meeting spaces for groups and organizations. These include family and class reunions, celebrations, gatherings, and club meetings. The History Center offers all of its services by donations only. It does not have annual memberships like many other historical organizations and relies largely on private and community donations. It is a 501c3 nonprofit organization and donations are tax deductible. Your support of the History Center would help continue its operations and provide a valuable community asset. Please send donations to the English Valley History Center, P.O. Box 70, North English, Iowa, 52316. Yesterday, we hosted the family of Alexis or Lek Wade and his wife, Edith Chapman Wade. There was over 13 descendants here from around the United States, and it was very nice to see them all. Correspondence, Janet Cobb Woodhouse from Benton sent these cute pictures from the photo album of her grandmother, Lila Cobb. Lila's full name was Lila Hardy Carter Cobb. These pictures are a follow-up to the Ralph and Mickey Ballard story. Their children are Lindine Ballard and my faithful listener, Louise Ballard Davis. And here's a picture of Ralph Ballard and Louise. And this one is Mickey Ballard and her son, Lindine. And I think this is a really cute picture of Lindine and Louise on a trike, and it's dated 1949. Susie Ellison Lundberg from Iowa City said, "Sorry you had to re-record, Jackie, but you give it all your every podcast, and as usual, a huge success. Thanks for entertaining and informing me." Alice Floring Stramer from Watkins said, "You are the glue which binds us to the community of North English, English Valleys, and the History Center. Thank you for keeping us in the loop of happenings and ancestry connections of friends and neighbors. Gleaning from your podcast is a weekly joy for many. Thank you." Mark Claypool from Sigourney said, "Jackie, my heartfelt thanks for another week of memories. You rock this podcast, and I wish your continued success." Vicki Orndorff Johnson from California said, "Thank you for answering my questions regarding ballet classes above the food locker. I enjoyed today's podcast very much." Some new familiar names. Pam Kavanaugh Shields said, "I love the podcast, Jackie, especially the info on the History Center and class celebrations, etc. for fun days. So sorry to have missed it. My brother Rick Kavanaugh shared a lot of that day with me. Your podcasts bring the past of North English to present day. A heartfelt thanks for all you do." I left the History Center after the show was uploaded last Saturday and headed to Belle Plaine for the 90th birthday party for Marilyn Wells from my PEO group and my bridge club. The party started at 2 p.m., and I was thrilled to have two of my friends from Belle Plaine tell me that they had already listened to part or all of my broadcast. It does my heart good to hear that others enjoy my efforts. This is a reminder that the next alumni luncheon will meet at 11:30 a.m. at the Main Street Pub and Grug in North English on August 25th. Please contact Linda Holden Carter or Alice Floring Stramer for reservations. The next program at the English Valleys History Center will be on August 31st at 2 p.m. Levi Lyle from Kyoto will be giving the program on alternatives in agriculture. I am excited to learn about his organic farming ideas. Our sympathies to the family of Colleen Miller McCarter of the class of 1961. Her husband Larry was also in the class of 1961. And their pictures are together on this side. Colleen is down here and Larry is up there. We are also interested in learning about historical English Valleys items that you might wish to donate to the History Center. Please contact Dave Jackson, Scott Romine, or any board member to donate. We'll see you next time.